Okay, good morning, everybody. If I seem a little kind of jittery, that's how I am in the mornings now. It's from the combination of medicines that I'm on, but I'm fine. Actually, I feel good in the mornings, other than that kind of jitteriness that hits me from the combination of things. So we have a hearing at 9 o'clock, and Joe has sent me a link to a channel that is covering it that we'll jump on. As long as I don't feel like I'm stealing them and I'm helping them and I'm giving them credit. And this is a big enough channel. I wouldn't jump on a smaller channel. So the name of the channel is called, hold on a second. Let's see. It is called Justice Served TV, a Bryant and Baden media company. And they have it scheduled for covering. If we get any kind of a warning coming up, see, this trial is in Plymouth County, a different county, so they're going to have different rules. And they've been putting up a warning not to rebroadcast this. So, we're trying to play by the rules as much as possible. So I'm gonna anticipate bringing this up for you guys today. And if we can't, we can't. But because of this other site that Joe gave to us, and we'll continue to give them coverage, it's Justice Served TV, a Bryant and Baden media company. So if you search for that, click subscribe and do them a little bit of a favor for that. Right now, they have 8 waiting in their chat. So let's see who's here. Now, I do have some other things we can go over before the hearing started. That's why I started a little bit early. But hi, Rhonda, from different time zone where you are, from Australia. Good morning. We have a lot of people from Australia following this case. Christina, good morning. Tolly. Got to turn the TV volume down. All right. Tolly, is that who that is? I don't know anything about them. I wouldn't give them coverage. That's Turtle Boy's other lawyer. No, I don't know anything about them. That could be true. I really don't know. Joe gave me the link. Oh, so I just got word that CBS News Boston will cover it. So we can go jump on that one. Hopefully, we'll be ready to jump on one of these. So let me get CBS. So for the person that just sent me that helpful update, is it CBS News? Do they have a YouTube channel, or is it on their web station channel? And we'll see if this is an issue. I don't know if I need to sign into CBS or that we're covering it live for the public. Okay, in the meantime, let me link you to one of the other hearings. This was from 2 weeks ago.
Weapon, and she was acquitted, so they gave her that back. But they said, you know what? Actually, we're not going to turn over her cell phones at this time. Her attorney at that time filed a motion for a return of property, and that sparked the Commonwealth to then file a motion to actually search the phones. This was 19 months.
And we'll see if this channel, the trial channel, covers it too. I don't think they covered it live last time. They must have put up this
after the
later.
initial seizure.
So that would have been, and so the initial seizure was January 24th. So this would have been September of 25 that it was seized or thereabouts. But then it was searched, I should
It
say.
wasn't searched.
Oh, it was not.
No.
They sought a warrant for it.
They filed a motion on August 28th seeking to search.
Gotcha.
And There were hearings this fall. There were back and forth memorandums that I filed, that the Commonwealth filed, oppositions fighting this. Now, it's important to note that in the meanwhile, on August 29th, the day following the Commonwealth's motion to search the phones, DS was decided. And DS was decided by the appeals court. And that was a case that was very important for both sides in their argument, and that Judge Krupp certainly asked pointed questions about at the oral argument. So that was sort of the seminal case that was dealt with in the argument and in the motions. Also over the fall, the SJC agreed to take up further appellate review of DS.
Yeah,
And
that's what Mr. Cosgrove mentioned in his final.
right, and that's why I'm referencing it.
Okay, yeah, no, good.
So that happened in the fall. So it was known in the fall that the SJC was going to be hearing DS. Meanwhile, arguments ended in our matter. All the memorandum was filed end of November. We waited 2 months for Judge Krupp's very thoughtful and very thorough decision. In the meanwhile, the SJC heard arguments in early January on DS. The Commonwealth never moved for a stay of the proceedings, and they never did anything for almost 2 years with those phones. January 30th, Judge Krupp rejects their motion. He denies their motion, and it was judicially rejected that they were going to be able to search Ms. Reed's phones. There's no pending case. That was it. I then emailed Attorney Cosgrove requesting that Ms. Reed's cell phones be returned and asking how she could pick them up. He said, nope, we're still not giving them back. So I filed a motion the following business day to put this on from this court. Mr. Cosgrove filed an opposition, I believe, the same business day, later on that day.
Now, I have to admit, I don't understand and I've never understood, and there could be legal reasons for this, but why get a warrant to get Karen's phones, but then not continue to go in and read those phones? So all they effectively did for the last 2 years was have those phones so that she couldn't use them. Other than that, it accomplished nothing. If you're going to get the phones, presumably you think, I mean, you've already got a warrant for those phones, so you've made an argument that you suspect there's information on those phones of her committing a crime. And we remember those warrants. We read them out loud. There was a very long, extensive warrant back in January of a couple of years ago, and they went over quite a bit. For instance, they even showed images from the rolling rally. The police had put up the rolling rally. The police were ready for the state police, and they had put up cameras at many locations. And they included some of the pictures. They were grainy inside that report, but I knew from my sources that they had put up cameras. But that's the only time I've ever seen any images from it. So presumably they have a lot more images, but it seemed to go nowhere after that. Why didn't they apply the warrant to get? Why didn't that a warrant include the ability to go into the phones? I don't really understand. I'm not a lawyer. It doesn't seem logical or efficient to me that you actually succeed in getting a warrant to send Lieutenant Tully out and seize those phones, but yet you do nothing with them. You don't look inside them. I don't get it. I really don't get it. Maybe they lost confidence because the grand jury back at the time did not indict Karen, but that grand jury never saw what was in those phones. The state has never seen what was in those phones. We don't know even exactly what's in them because she did a factory reset. But as we're learning this week, a lot of things that Karen thought protected her didn't. She had been using the Signal app. Her and her lawyers, we found out that her lawyers instructed the ARCA lawyers to communicate with them over Signal. So all of this is people are only using this because there's a self-deletion feature on Signal. and because it's encrypted. So they believed sorry, be patient. Morning mucus. That's the problem of a morning show. But Karen believed that Signal protected her. So she obviously thought, she was aware that she was committing a crime. That's why, and so was Alan Jackson. That's why they were using Signal. That's the only reason. But we now know, based on Kate Peter going over the extraction from Turtle Boy's phone, that the Signal app messages were still there. So using Signal did not protect them in any way. And Kate has been able to see on Signal just how much Karen Reed was directing Aiden's actions and sending people around town to spy on the witnesses, to go on their lawns, to take pictures. We know Sean McDonough was involved with that back in the day, although I don't think any evidence came out of that on Aiden's phone. Sean was not working with Aiden. But Karen had her spy networks. They're citizen spies, usually grandmothers that have, for some reason, become obsessed with this case. Grandmothers and moms, middle-aged to older women that become, for some reason, this became their religion. And Karen was directing Turtle Boy in the most granular detail, exactly who to target, when to target, how to target. She presumably gave the addresses. So this would have made a huge difference in the grand jury had it had that evidence. And it's certainly, there's nothing that prevents another grand jury from being seated. That's not double jeopardy. That doesn't apply in that situation. So Karen has no way been acquitted of conspiracy charges. And those phones have a lot of evidence on it. We've already just seen enough from what Kate has gone through on Turtle Boy's phone. One can only imagine what's on Karen's phone. Of course, my interest is if we actually can get into Karen's phone, will we see direct communications with her from the feds or somebody representing the feds? We also had, let's see, somebody, let me put that one up on the screen. Let me put this one on hold, since you guys have probably seen that one. We'll go back to that hearing if you want. But there was something else I want to show you guys. Just gotta locate it. Give me a second. Let's see. I had a copy of the message. Yeah. Not sure where I saved it. Let me see. This was the message that everybody was looking at yesterday, where Karen and Turtle Boy Turtle Boy is talking to a federal grand. No, I shouldn't say federal. Turtle Boy, somebody had reached out to Turtle Boy, who was on a jury, and said he was a turtle rider from day one, gave his name, and said he was in court and had tried to get and Turtle Boy was in court. Turtle Boy sitting there on his laptop. So this guy was, but we don't know what jury that was, because it was May 5th of 2023. So it's a year before the Karen Reed first trial. There would have been Turtle Boy would not have been there, or nobody would have been there for a grand jury, whether it was federal or state. There's no press. There's nobody. Those are private. Nobody's allowed into a grand jury. So I don't really know what he was talking about. I can't find that message at the moment, though. If somebody wants to send me that link. I do also have, let's play the other thing that's going to come up today, is the issue with the phone call. Did Keith's lawyers get this wrong? Did Karen say, "I'm dead," or did she say again? All right, let me play this here. Make sure this is turned all the way up. All right.
Thank you on December 22nd not to go to her house. And then you brought me in the fucking mud with Tully. Again. Again. Do you have any clue what's on my phone that they took?
Yeah, I went to jail. You didn't. I paid the price for that. You didn't.
Okay, let's play that again and see what you guys hear. Karen's lawyers, I'm sorry, the O'Keefe lawyers heard I'm dead. I'm fucking dead. Uh, Turtle Boy claims that this is again a fucking again. And you guys can decide which. I'm going to play it one more time, then I'll tell you what I hear.
Thank you on December 22nd not to go to her house. And then you brought me in the fucking mud with Tully. Again. Again. Do you have any clue what's on my phone that they took?
Yeah, I went to jail. You didn't. I paid the price.
Okay. I don't hear what Karen's lawyers hear. I hear again a fucking again. Sorry, that's just what I hear. In fact, I think it's fairly clear too. Now, I don't know if that's the audio that Karen Reed, that the O'Keefe lawyers had, because sometimes these audios can be different. To me, if that's the audio, it's pretty clear in there that she says again a fucking again. I think it's very clear. So, but I don't know what version of the audio the O'Keefe lawyers heard. So I had an incident happen with me during the first trial. Ended up being kind of embarrassing to me on national TV. But things are, when they're happening fast during the trial, whatever, you don't know exactly what's going on, or people can make mistakes, or we all can, So Kate sent me a copy of the voicemail. This was the last voicemail that Karen left to John O'Keefe. And this is the one where I think it's about 5:23 a.m. when she's out in the car. And in the version that Kate sent me, it sounds fairly clearly, not real clearly, but fairly clearly, like Karen is saying, "John, is that you?" And if so, it would be huge, because it would prove that Karen drove down 34 Fairview and saw John in the snow and said, "John, is that you?" So I sent that clip to Court TV, telling him, I don't remember if I told him what it said, but I told him it was a big deal. And that night when I was on the show, they actually did play the clip. And I was stuck, though, because they didn't play the clip that I sent them. They played the clip that they had from the trial. Remember, Court TV was covering the trial. And in the clip that they had, it did not sound at all like, "John, is that you?" It sounded like Karen saying, "John, where the fuck are you?" So somehow there were two different audio versions of that voicemail going around. And ever since then, every other version that I've heard on, on TV or whatever, or on any official channels, sounds like, "John, where the fuck are you?" So somehow there was another audio that circulated at that time that sounded a little different. Now, I'm not saying anybody tinkered with it. That's how bad audio can be. And these things can be pretty bad audios. And you can have a different version of it. And I think that that's all that happened there. But Maui, if you start cleaning up the audio, I'm jumping into the conversation late, so yeah, I mean, to me, if you listen to the part that was played in court, it really does sound like, "John, where the fuck are you?" But as far as cleaning up audio too, there's a reason you can't clean up audio and send it and use it in court generally. Because what is meant by cleaning up audio? So I use a program sometimes when I'm making recorded videos. That's an AI that called Adobe Enhance, and it's free, and it enhances your voice. But if the audio is bad, the AI does its best to clean it up in a way that it's applying its own interpretation to it. So that's not really good, because you're taking AI, which is using its own interpretation, which could be wrong. So I don't really know exactly when someone says cleaned up, what is meant by that. In theory, there are programs you can use that would just clean it up, in a fair way. But you would have to have somebody neutral do that. All right, we'll play it one more, since it's short. We'll play it one last time, and then we'll get out of this. So to me, I know it sounds strange written that way, but then when you actually listen to it, it does kind of sound like a fucking gang.
Thank you on December 22nd not to go to her house. And then you brought me in the fucking mud with Tully. Again. Again. Do you have any clue what's on my phone that they...
Because the most important part of this is that she says, do you have any clue what's on my phones? So clearly, Karen thinks there's something incriminating on her phones. That much is clear. Whether she says I'm dead or whether she says again, it's crystal clear that Karen thinks there's something incriminating on her phones. Now, I ask people in FKR, what do you think? If there's, I don't know if there's anybody FKRs here. But if you're from FKR, and especially if you're the one that this is kind of your religion, you believe that Karen Read is the saint of all saints, and she is a good person and she's innocent. What do you think she meant when she said, do you have any idea what's on my phone? And you can hear the anger and the panic in her voice. And in a bunch of the other messages Kate has looked at, you can see Karen is terrified of picking up new charges. What charges do you think she's worried about picking up? What would she be charged with potentially other than conspiracy to intimidate a witness? Now think about this. That message was recorded. Well, I can't say for sure. I don't know exactly when that message was recorded. But we know from some of the messages we've seen on Turtle Boy's phone that Karen was afraid of being arrested long before Turtle Boy was arrested. All right. And this actually raised something that I thought of the other day, too. It's a slightly different issue, but I think it's something that can be a little bit revealing. Let's go back to the 227 search for How Long to Die in the Cold. This was huge, right? Without that thing, Turtle Boy probably doesn't get involved. And so many of the people that were initially listening to the conspiracy theory as put up by the defense would not have been sucked in. 227 was the most powerful piece of evidence to me back at the beginning. And we were told that data is just data, that that Rich Green just used the most recent update on the software, and that was able to find what it was able to find. And that's that nobody was in dispute. Now, we found out later on that the state had experts that very much disputed that. But my question is this. When Karen first pushed her defense, her third-party culprit theory, did she and her lawyers know that was going to be challenged? Well, let me show some evidence that they did. On day one that this was put out, in Turtle Boy's article, April 18th. Right from the beginning, Turtle Boy already had, and remember, he was getting everything from Karen and her team and her lawyers. Turtle Boy already had an explanation for why Jen McCabe would make that search for How Long to Die in the Cold at 2:27 and then again at 6:23. She made it basically 3 times. And we're saying the first time was at 2:27 and the second 2 times were at 6:23, 6:24. But I remember reading this, even though when I thought data was just data, I couldn't understand why Jen McCabe would make that exact same search again at the scene at 6:23. And you can go back to my old discussions about this on Reddit and other things, and it didn't make sense to me. But they had an answer for it right away before we even in the public got to start asking questions like that. And not many Turtle Riders were asking questions. They're not really capable of it. But some of us were asking that question. I'm sure at least some people besides me, I'm sure I wasn't the only one asking that question. Why would Jen McCabe make that search twice? And the answer that they gave right from the start was that the second attempt was an effort to cover up the first attempt, as though somehow typing that in again at 6:23 would cover up her search at 227. Now that never made sense to me. That never made sense to me. I never understood it. I didn't. How would that cover it up? It wouldn't cover it up. But the fact that they were putting that out there tells me that they were worried that eventually people were going to question 227. So they knew that was going to happen. And they had an answer for it before it even did. Thank you, kiddies. I appreciate the support. So they knew that 227 was going to eventually be challenged by experts and by, they presumed, the public, although very few people in the public did. I can remember when I was challenged, when I did start challenging it more publicly after Lally revealed in a hearing that they had Jessica Hyde as an expert, an independent expert, who said it didn't happen at that time. And so I started questioning it more publicly. But there was nobody that backed me. There was no FKR. And there was no anti-FKR back then, or no one knew where to find them. I didn't know where to find them. I should say that. There was no channels. There was no Facebook pages that were on the other side, the anti-Karen side. They didn't exist yet. Nobody was challenging it on Twitter. I guess Kate was challenging it on her own personal Facebook page, but I didn't have access to her page or know about it. And then her page was taken down by the Turtle Riders. So that was gone. So there was nobody question. So, I mean, I didn't know where to go to even get a both sides kind of analysis of this. It didn't exist. So I guess when I was questioning it, for me, I was the only from my point of view, I was the only person questioning it. And I think for a lot of people, I was the only one questioning it. But it is a little frustrating. Like, why weren't more people saying, does it make sense that Jen McCabe made that exact same search, even with the exact same misspelling, 623? I mean, even to for Turtle Boy to say, well, she thought, I remember saying to myself, one, that wouldn't work, covering up by typing it in the same search again at 623. But two, how ridiculously unlikely that Jen McCabe would be at that crime scene and suddenly think, "Ooh, I made that incriminating search at 227, and they're going to get my phones. I better try to get rid of that." That doesn't make sense. And of course, Jen McCabe ultimately, if she had something like that on her phone that she was worried about, why did she give up her phone to the police without a warrant? She voluntarily gave up her phone to the police. Why would she do that if she knew she had something on there? Thank you, JFK. Appreciate it. Feeling very good this morning. Feeling very good. I normally would be going to chemo today, but I delayed it by a week. And normally you don't want to do that, but actually I think I made a really good decision. It's allowing me another week to get recovery time. This particular recovery was more difficult. So, but don't you worry, I'm going to get through this. And I have a friend who is in a clinical trial. He has this exact same cancer as me, the exact same genetic mutation, and was on the same treatment as me. He was diagnosed 3 months before me. And like me, he got about 6 years out of this medication before he went into progression. His progression is different. He doesn't have any bone lesions. He had it in the brain and the lungs. I had it in the brain, the lungs, and the bones. That's why it was spreading across my spine last year, and that's why I had the hospital stay and needed all that. But this clinical trial that he is in, I as soon as I found out about it, before he even got results, I was very optimistic about it, and his early results have been excellent. So when I begin to progress again, I should be able to get into that trial. So I have every reason to believe I'll be around here for a long time. All right, so the hearing is at 9, so we've got 6 minutes to go, and I appreciate that if everybody, as we get to 9 o'clock, watches with me, so we make sure we get on the channel on time. All right, so let's see. I've got a link here that does say watch live Karen Reed and John O'Keefe's family fight over cell phones in court. And this is, as my source, my favorite source said, this is on CBS's website. And I'm going to tap into that link right now so we don't have to worry about it holding. This is always the most from a streamer, like this is the most nerve-wracking part when you're not sure if you have a channel and if you'll be able to get it. So right now, this is the link that should have the trial up. And for the moment, it's showing traffic, but we'll keep checking because they don't go live until right at 9 o'clock. So we'll keep checking, but I'd appreciate it if you guys keep checking there. And then I will watch also in chat. Now, keep in mind, while I'm searching, if you put in chat, oh, it's on this channel, maybe put it a couple of times because I might not see it again. I might not see it because I'm looking to other channels to try to make sure I get it up. All right. So what I saw in chat, a lot of you guys heard the same thing the O'Keefes said, I'm dead, I'm fucking dead. So I guess we'll just have to that shows how subjective it can be hearing things like that. And I also have I don't have time to go into it though, because I don't want to miss anything. But I have the reply girl with an eagle eye actually put it up, and I was going to bring it with you that I keep making that mistake, that the O'Keefe's lawyers send in. So Hillbilly Nitro says, good morning. Hope all is well, friend. Good to see you, Hillbilly. And thank you for the wishes. JFK is a new member now too. Thank you for joining. I think you were a member before. Good to have you back. And my old friend Pat has been with us for probably longer than anybody that's now with us. There were a whole different group of people that were with us a few years ago because I was doing a lot of coverage of the Delphi murders. And there were a lot of people from around the country and around the world that were following us because of that. Good people. But we lost them when the coverage became too much on one case, the Karen Reed case. And so we kind of lost them. I'd like to get them back, but we'll see. Let me reset this. Okay, this channel should have the Karen Reed one. This is CBS, and I've hit the link that they've told me to hit. So we'll keep checking it, especially right as we get to 9 o'clock. Now, these hearings don't always start on time, but this one may. So for you Celtics fans out there, it's commonly believed that Jason Tatum will make his comeback tonight against the Dallas Mavericks. I don't think Cooper Flagg is playing, but he's not been ruled out. So I'd like to see Cooper Flagg play too. All right, I'm back to chat. Oh, KP, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Christina's a Celtics fan. All right, so we got 1 minute to go. So everybody keep checking, and hopefully this will just come on this channel here for us. You welcome Elevate, just trying to do the best I can to try to bring a voice of reason to this, which the people that are in this channel, I kind of represent them because they all think the same way as me. So I don't speak to them, I speak for them. I speak with the same voice that they do. They just didn't have time to set up a YouTube channel. It's a Lexus commercial. Yeah. My fave Celtic of all time, Larry Bird. I grew up, I think I was in like the 7th or 8th grade when Larry Bird's career started with the Celtics. Larry Bird. It was incredible watching the Celtics in those days. I love Dennis Johnson. Dennis Johnson was my favorite point guard on that, one of my favorite players from that team. But Cedric Maxwell was a favorite too in the early 80s. And he's still a great broadcaster on the radio. Okay, so we got 9 o'clock. Let's see. Everybody should be out there hopefully searching for me. We're running commercials still on this channel, but I want to leave it up and running. The hearing is not started, but on one of the other channels, they're showing Karen sitting down. So I'm going to leave this on the CBS for a moment. Hopefully they'll go into it like they said they are. I don't really understand why these channels wait until the last second. And then I go into it and it's stopped playing. It's so frustrating. I only stopped for a couple of seconds before I noticed, but mm. But I do have it on that lawyer's channel, and I'll jump into it if CBS doesn't cover it. CBS says they're covering it. They just haven't started yet for some reason. I wish I wish StreamYard, this app, would allow me to put on a split screen so I could put on both, so you'd know that I do have the hearing on. All right, we're just gonna go on to his for now because CBS doesn't seem to know what it wants to do. So again, I am on for the moment Justice Serve TV, a Bryant and Baden media company. Since we're jumping on this stream, please jump in and give them a subscription. I don't know anything about their channel. They are playing it, but this lawyer is apparently muted and doesn't know it. Let's see if it comes on CBS. It's still not coming on CBS. So, I mean, the local news is in my town of Andover, I see. CBS. Are you guys finding it anywhere else? NBC 10 Boston on YouTube. Okay, let's try that one. I've used that one before. All right, we'll go to that one. Thank you. Yeah, the CBS one still isn't covering it, so we'll just stay on the NBC one. Obviously, an important hearing for Jackson to be all the way in from California. There's a trial in Salem, Mass Court that just began yesterday. Hank Brennan is the defense attorney. I may start covering that one. I didn't learn about it until yesterday, so I got to get caught up on the case. It's a woman who stabbed her husband, did not kill him, I guess, but she is claiming the defense of having been abused for 28 years. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that case. The stabbing took place in Lawrence, Mass, where I'm from, and where Hank Brennan used to be a prosecutor. Yeah, Lucy Medina. Thank you, Maui. Do you guys have an interest in that case? I could get into that one, I guess, and see. We could cover that. I'm not sure if it's being streamed anywhere either. I think Court TV is streaming it, actually. Elevate the Press said she would love to watch that trial. So I will consider showing it. It's a big commitment for me to have to get up and do a trial every morning of the week. I have to admit. It's a long day. JFK is originally from Salem. I have friends from Salem, Mass, the St. Pierre's. I had some other friends too, but Keith St. Pierre was a good friend from Salem. Went to college with him. I guess I could probably put on the Medina trial and stream it for you guys, but not do the level of commentary that I would do, say, like during the Karen Reed trial. Yeah, does anybody have? I did not cover yesterday's hearing. So does anybody have any reports on what happened in yesterday's hearing? Snoo compliments in Discord is already saying you're a cornbread. Kevin, you're a cornbread Maxwell guy. Yeah, I was. I liked him as an announcer on the radio, and I liked him as a player. Why he voted for Jesse Helms? I don't know. I don't know anything about cornbread Maxwell's politics, and I don't really care about players' politics. Players shouldn't have politics. Good morning, young Kada. Maui, yes. Yeah, I mean, I may do it. So you see, you run into problems though. Like we ran into a problem in the most recent trial that I covered where there was a morning I had a doctor's appointment and I had to impose on Kate to stream it for me. And Kate wasn't even following that trial. So she just did it as a favor. Be nice if Kate would show up. I didn't talk to her about it. I left the link in the Discord, so she'll probably see it. Jen Coffindeffer's live right now on her channel about the Nancy Guthrie case. Jen's been doing her. I've checked out some of her shows, and she was pretty good as a YouTube TV analyst a few years ago, but she's gotten to be top notch now. She's really hit her stride. She's doing a great job on her coverage. So that's, if you want to find Jen Coffindeffer, it's Breaking the Case with Jen Coffindeffer. Breaking the Case. Remember that. So just look up Breaking the Case and you'll find her on YouTube. And her channel seems to be really growing a lot with this Nancy Guthrie case. And she does an excellent job on it. It was a girl with an eagle eye. Oh, good girl. You're always on top of things. She said it was a 10-minute hearing yesterday. So was there anything important that came out of it that we should know? Court TV is not streaming Medina. They only have clips. All right. So does anybody know of any of the channels that might be streaming Medina? Otherwise, we'll have to try to get the Zoom link. So, oh. Yeah, people in my family are following the Nancy Guthrie, especially my mother, very closely. And John DePietro's been down there. I don't know if he still is. He's been covering it on location. Yeah, I grew up listening to Johnny Most. Johnny Most once stopped my dad inside the old Boston Garden to talk to him. And he talked to him for about 15 minutes. And because of that, the guards thought my dad and my mom, I don't know, they thought they were somebody, so they let them into the locker room. And so my parents, and my mother was a Sixers fan back then for some reason. So they went in, but they didn't go into the Celtics locker room. They went into the Sixers locker room. And we have an old Sixers pennant. You can barely read it though, because it was not kept safely, but we still have it. That has autographs of the Sixers from the time, Dr. J, Darryl Dawkins, Billy Cunningham, players like that. See, and we think the reason that Johnny Most talked to my dad was that my dad looked a lot like Tommy Heinsohn. Yeah, because Nick Rocco promised this was going to be fireworks today. So he's probably there. Maui said that Petro is still down there. I have not called him or anything. I don't want to bother him. He's probably getting very little sleep. We have one of our listeners that actually lives in Tucson. It's not someone we know, and I can't even remember. She had just commented that last week. So if she's here, give us a shout out. Do I believe what Nick says? I'm just telling you what he said. And he does have contact with Alan Jackson. Now, when he posted that, I put underneath it, oh, are we going to see another non-human hair? Are we going to see another gap in the library surveillance? So, so what I'm saying is that I believe that Alan Jackson is going to present something like that, but it'll turn out to be nonsensical. But that doesn't mean it won't look like big things to the public. Yeah, it's funny how in that situation, Karen, that audio we played earlier was from Turtle Boy illegally wiretapping Karen Reed, but she doesn't want to file a charge against him for obvious reasons. Who knows what he has that he could use to destroy her? So she has no choice. So thank you very much for being here, guys. We have a pretty good crowd for a Friday morning. I hope you're all anticipating having a very good weekend. We did get some more snow and sleet and ice last night. It's been one of those winters, but we are in March. We're well into spring training, so spring is just around the corner. And from my time as a bar owner, and many years doing the parade, the St. Patrick's Day parade route on Park Ave in Worcester, I can tell you that. So in Worcester, the St. Patrick's Day parade generally comes a week before St. Patrick's Day because a lot of the same bands march in Southie. So it goes Worcester, Southie, and then Springfield. And that generally I have found to be a turning point in the weather. So right around just before the parade, you usually start to see some warmer weather. And that's like a phase shift. You get like a shift where you start you can still see a snowstorm after that, but you generally start seeing warmer weather. So hopefully you're all in a good mood. Things are looking up. The weather should be turning the corner. In fact, I think it's supposed to be pretty warm coming up into the 60s even. Loophole Lawyer is here, and he said, till Tuesday, no, I'm not going to say that. Please. Can't say that, brother. She's not here, though, because she's on the West Coast. This is too early for her, so we haven't seen Tuesday chat, and we don't this would be like 6 a.m. for her. And Tuesday has a family. She has a husband and kids. She's probably getting her kids ready for school.
Slide down, sir. Sir, slide down.
Now, it's important to note here, as I did the other day, this is Karen. This is the O'Keefe civil trial that is trying to get her phones. But any evidence that's found on her phones of her committing a crime can still be used to charge her. The only thing that she can't be charged with is the thing that she's already been acquitted of, because that's a double jeopardy issue. But she could still be charged with conspiracy to intimidate witnesses.
Any other members of the press?
Hopefully Gretchen is still working this case. Gretchen's article, I think she hasn't done anything since that original article that she did in late summer of 2023, but that was still a brilliant article that was really probably the best work that's been done on this case was her investigation and her article. She's a much better writer than I could ever hope to be. I wonder if she's being warned by the bailiff to stop turning around. Oh, she's actually leaving. Looks like he wants to have a word with her outside. Yes, he is. So it may be actually the issue was there was someone else outside who's a guest of Karen's who wanted to be in court, and the bailiff came over and told her of that. I'm going to guess that that's more what the issue was. I don't know who this gentleman is, but he's sitting with her parents.
You ready?
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we ask that everyone turn their cell phones off and put them away. There's no electronics allowed in this courtroom. So cell phones, laptops, all stowed away. Everyone's clear on that? Thank you.
Please turn them off. If they're not off, turn them off. If it goes off, you'll be asked to leave.
I still muted it though.
Court, all right. Hey, 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 all persons have any due before this honorable justice. Judge today. Now sitting in the county of Plymouth, remain before the Commonwealth, broad mayor. Give your attendance, you shall be heard. God said the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, this honorable court is now in session. Please be seated.
Good morning, Your Honor. May I proceed?
Please.
Good morning, everyone. Today is Friday, March 6th, 2026. This is the Civil D session at Plymouth Superior Court before the Honorable Justice Mark Gilday. Your Honor, the matter before the court is civil action number 2483 CV 00692. Paul O'Keefe, individually and personal representative of the estate of John Joseph O'Keefe III et al. Versus CNC Hospitality LLC, doing business as C&F McCarthy's et al. Counsel, if you could please state your name for the record, we can start with the plaintiffs.
Good morning, Your Honor. Attorney Mark Diller on behalf of the plaintiffs.
Morning.
Good morning, Your Honor. Attorney Dan Buck on behalf of the plaintiffs.
Morning.
Good morning, Your Honor. Alan Jackson on behalf of Ms. Reed.
Morning.
Good morning, Your Honor. Aaron Rosenberg on behalf of Ms. Reed.
Morning.
Good morning, Your Honor. Art Maravellis on behalf of Karen Reed.
Morning. Morning to everyone else that's here in the gallery. I'd remind those in the gallery to keep in mind the instructions that the court officer gave you a little while ago. Before we get started, can I talk to counsel at the side of the bench, please?
This has obviously been a longer sidebar with the judge than usual. Trying to catch up on the comments in chat, but this window here only shows me a very small amount of it, so it's hard to scroll through.
All right.
All right, looks like we're about to get something happening here. I'll pop off the screen if they actually get started. Sorry, I had a phone call. Is this actually over? Is that what we're looking at here? Did they settle that at the bench? What do you guys think? It's a recess? Well, they must be working on something. Maybe the judge requested somebody get something because obviously there's no need for a recess this early. Moving to conference room B. What does that mean? Maui? What? Yeah, they could be listening to the audio, I guess. Is Christina Rex back covering this? I didn't even think she was working anymore. I thought she was in law school. And when we last saw her, she was pregnant. But if Christina Rex graduated from law school and had the baby, is she still working for, who is she working for? Channel 4? NBC or CBS? Hey, good morning, Zona. Yes. Feeling very energetic this morning. Kind of wasted on this hearing a little bit when I could have been working on stuff, but hopefully we'll get it over soon. Ooh, that was loud. Good morning, Cindy. Thank you. So I guess we're in a recess. It's possible they went to listen to the audio. Seems to me that the state should be using this audio to throw another wiretapping charge against Turtle Boy. I guess there's no ceiling fan in this courtroom. Enjoy that nice weather down there, Tom. The version of the audio that I heard, it was sounded fairly clear to me that Karen was saying a fucking again, that she was not saying I'm dead. I don't know how relevant it is. It's only relevant to the extent that if the court decides that the O'Keefe lawyers deliberately misled the court, but I don't. But otherwise, it's irrelevant because the main point is Karen clearly was extremely worried that there was incriminating evidence on that phone, and she didn't want the police to get it. That could be true, Zona. Let me see if I can put a quote on the screen. Zona Eagle does a great job. Said, Kevin, I firmly believe Dillard knows that the recording said something slightly different, yet wanted a response from the defense to essentially authenticate it. So that's a good point. As this recording was used as evidence for why the restraining order should apply to Karen's phones, because she's worried that there's something incriminating on them and therefore might try to destroy that. A possible defense could have been, this is not authenticated. We don't know what this recording is and who made it. But now Karen's lawyers have tacitly authenticated it by saying that it's real, but that the plaintiff's lawyers have deliberately misinterpreted the first sentence in it, which means they didn't dispute the second sentence, where Karen says, do you have any idea? I forget, I don't have it in front of me, but do you have any idea how much trouble I'd be in? And if Karen authenticates it, and at the same time is forced to admit that she did not give Turtle permission, would that lead to him picking up a charge of wiretapping, another charge? He's already facing one wiretapping from when he wiretapped Scanlon. He's also wiretap Lucky. You know, Turtle Boy's made a career of recording all these calls because without telling the person, which is illegal. This in Massachusetts, both parties have to agree to it. Because he uses that information against them. You know, right now, if you're a friend of Turtle Boy, you have to know that he's already been compiling dirt on you to eventually use against you. You have to know that. Because we have to remember that the plaintiffs already claimed that they got this recording off the internet. We have some other documents we could go over, but if I pull them up on the screen, we'll lose the courthouse and people will get nervous. So can't really do that. So we are apparently on a recess here. Not sure how long it'll be. Not sure if anything. We began with I'm not sure if it's even called a sidebar in this situation, but basically let's call it a sidebar. We began with a sidebar between the judge and the attorneys. It was a lengthy one. We don't know what they discussed, and then they went right to recess. Melly, yes, I missed a ceiling fan too. This is in Plymouth, not in Canton, not in Dedham. I agree with Zona that it's a good theory. I don't know for sure if they're that Machiavellian, but they could be. This is a motion regarding the restraining order. So what happened was the phones, remember, this is a civil case here. This is a lawsuit where the plaintiffs, the O'Keefes, are suing the Bars and Karen Reed for wrongful death. In the meantime, they want to have access to the phones, Karen's phones that were seized not by them, but by the state in pursuit of a criminal charge. Now, strangely, the state got a warrant. This was in January of 2024, where they got her phones. And while the state police, she forced them to wait outside while she did a factory reset of her phone. And, but they got her phones, but apparently they never actually got a warrant to go into her phones. So those phones just sat there and did nothing for the last 2 years. And she finally sued to get the phones back. And the judge ordered that she got the phones back. So this forced the plaintiffs here, the O'Keefes, to say, no, she's going to destroy what's on those phones. So we want a restraining order. We want, now they don't have, you can do both. She can get her phones as long as she gives up an extraction first of the phones to the O'Keefes. But she's fighting that. So, again, we can get into that whole debate. Just because somebody is fighting someone getting your phone information does not automatically mean that's consciousness of guilt. Like conversations can get taken out of context. Like I have not done anything wrong ever on any of my phones, but I'm not sure I'd want to just surrender my phone to anybody right now and knowing that they had hostile intentions to go through my phone and take things out of context, perhaps. So I would probably fight that too. Nonetheless, Karen has made comments that the O'Keefes just put in here, however you interpret the "I'm fucking dead" or whether it was but fucking again. She definitely said, "Do you have any idea what would happen to me on those phones?" I don't have the exact quote in front of me, but she was worried clearly in her comments. She was angry at Aiden that there was incriminating evidence on her phones. For some reason, Turtle Boy gave an extraction of his phone to his then girlfriend, Meredith. No idea why. Very strange to do that, especially given that he goes through these girlfriends pretty rapidly. And it almost always ends up hostile in the end. So why would you ever give your girlfriend an extraction from your phone? Very strange. Very bad judgment. James, thank you very much. James said, these texts in Turtle's phone are wild. Clear coordination of witness intimidation among he and Karen Reed. Absolutely. Absolutely. Karen was directing Turtle Boy's actions right down to the granular level, telling him who to send where, what yard to go and sneak into and take pictures and blah, blah, blah. Karen was directing all that. If that's not witness intimidation, I don't really know what it is. Especially because she knew what statements that he was making on his channel, which was he was essentially saying, if somebody goes out on and says, either you tell the truth or I'm going to hound you to the ends of the earth, you're asking them to change their statement. That's the same as asking them to change their statement in a way that you want them to change it. It's the same thing, because they are testifying to the truth and you're saying, I don't believe that's the truth and I want you to change your testimony. So that is witness intimidation. It feels like we've been here for a long time, but actually it's 10 o'clock, so it's only been an hour. But because nothing's happened, it definitely feels like a long time. So the bars are being sued because the lawyers would have forced it. These lawyers are taking this case on a contingency basis. So instead of taking money from the O'Keefes, they will agree to handle it. But for them to do it, they have to believe there's some money on the other end of it that'll pay for their time. And even if they win against Karen, is there money there for them to get? So the lawyers would insist on going after the bars too, especially Karen's been found guilty now of DUI. So that's why. So it's the lawyers that force the O'Keefes to put the bars on the lawsuit. Now, my sympathy is with the bars. You know that. Yeah, I don't know what the Deborah says, so annoying they didn't get the warrant. I don't really understand. It just seems like nothing but pure. I don't know. Is it that they don't know what they're doing? I don't know. I certainly don't want Adam Deitch to win that election in Norfolk. However, it does seem like that whole county doesn't know what they're doing. That Morrissey's office doesn't know what they're doing there. Linda says people who have nothing to hide nothing. I don't necessarily agree with that. So look at Jen McCabe. She surrendered her phone. But I'm sure she wishes she didn't, because they used that data to falsely portray her as being part of a conspiracy to no fault of her own. She didn't make a search for how long to die Nicole at 227, but yet one version of the software said that. And that sucks. That's unfair. That's not her fault. So she's innocent. She gave over her phone and she's paid a heavy price for it. Oops, I don't know what's going on with this. I don't know if it's ended. I don't know. Suddenly it just went black. Well, I don't have any answers. You guys can check around some other channels and see if the court feed just went out. Yeah, the bars will definitely settle. Their lawyers will, yeah. The insurance companies pay. It won't be the bars. It's actually the insurance companies that fight this fight. So what are we to think of this? Is the court feed out for the day? Should we end it? I mean, this is definitely a little bit frustrating. I don't know if it was laziness. There may be other reasons for it, why they didn't get the warrant. I don't know. It started at 9, Taillight Guru. Boston 25 went out as well. Okay. Well, I don't want to stay on talking all morning. So I think what I'm going to do is stay live, put up a banner, and because it stays live, you guys can continue talking in chat. But then I can go get something to eat, get some breakfast. I'm trying to avoid weight loss, so kind of important for me to eat when I'm hungry. So let's put up a banner. Okay, so as long as they keep this feed going, it should be all set. So I'm going to pop off the screen. And I'm going to pop off the screen, but I'm going to keep so the feed is still going. And assuming it comes back on this channel. All right. So I will be monitoring it while I eat.
Mr. Jackson? Yes, please. Yes, sir. Hi, Chief. 6:30. Just about what extraction is.
We're still waiting on one.
Yes, at least one.
Right?
I believe so.
Was she gonna text anybody that she was here?
I just texted her. I don't know. She said she was supposed to arrive at 9:09. That's
9:09?
Yeah, not a nice. She's nice.
Yeah. Yes. Already told her, I told her to shut it off. We'll make that announcement again. Only mine is the one that goes off. She's 4 minutes up. What did you?
Did you?
How can you just put them out? Texted me.
That's why.
He's been on the job a while.
That's why.
Yeah, exactly.
We just got to review it.
Five full days.
Plus 3 days.
Who presided?
Judge Sullivan.
Who was counsel?
And those names.
Kevin Ready.
Yeah, who's the council on the county? No. Fucking name is Jim.
Jim?
Basically. There was a lot.
On the transport. It's not. Duke's very experience. You have to drive.
Do you want to start a second? Whatever. Sure. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Yep. 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 Start a second.
All right. This court's now in session. Please be seated.
Your Honor,
Come on up, counsel. So the parties have consulted, and I understand there's a consensus moving forward, hopefully. So Attorney Diller, why don't you set forth what's been agreed to?
Your Honor, thank you for the opportunity to meet and confer. The parties have met and conferred. The agreement that we have in place is the plaintiffs are going to withdraw the current motion that's sitting before this court. The parties have agreed to act in an expedited fashion towards either reaching a stipulation or some agreement as to how to deal with the issue for the phones on or before the date that they get released back into the custody of Karen Reed. And we have agreed that we will continue to work in good faith towards that end. I also want to acknowledge to this court and to Ms. Reed that I was mistaken when I interpreted her words to say, I'm dead, I'm effing dead.
Thank you. Ms. Reed?
Your Honor, generally, that is the agreement that we've reached. The one clarification I would provide is that we are going to work in an expedited fashion to come up with an agreement for how the phones will be accessed and searched, et cetera. But that expressly is through our office, through Ms. Reed's counsel. Plaintiff's counsel is going to propose to us what they believe we should do to review and produce those documents, and we're going to try to agree on that kind of protocol.
And absent an agreement, you'll come back.
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay, and the prior agreements relative to the extractions remain in place.
Correct.
Okay, and the counsel from Ms. Reed have agreed, consistent with the temporary order that I put in, that there'll be no deletions or anything made from the phones, correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right, so I'll just keep that order in place, and if you need my assistance, not that I did very much today, but if you need it the next time, let me know, we'll give you a date, okay?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, Your Honor.
Very much.
Order, all rise.
So I guess Dick was wrong. That was a big nothing. Take the banner off. Basically, Karen gets her phones back, but under an order not to delete or destroy anything. Nobody should trust her. She's going to find a way to do a factory reset on the phone again.
Sure. Yeah. I think Tuesday works. Yeah, I'll email you today. Okay. Yep.
You saw even the words that her defense attorney used. We're going to try. They kept using that word try. We're going to try to come to an agreement. Once those phones are out of, they say possession is 9/10 of the law, right? I don't believe that the contents are going to be copied. I'm not sure. I didn't hear that in there. I missed the first couple of sentences of the agreement because people were texting me, and I was trying to make sure I had everything set up on a proper screen. So I don't believe she's going to get a forensic copy before she gets the phones. So she will just get the phones with an order, unless I'm getting this wrong, with an order not to do anything, not to delete anything. Yeah, if she wipes those phones or deletes something, she knows we live in a state where they're just ineffective and they're not going to do anything to her. She will pay no price for it. Oh, they said they're doing the extraction first? Okay. If they did, I might have missed that then. Like I said, I was getting some distractions here on my end. Hopefully they do the extraction. If I didn't hear that said, but that would be fine if that's the case. Okay, so I don't think we really have anything else to go over. So unless I'll stay on for a minute and see if you guys have any questions, and short of that, we'll call it a morning. Anybody have any questions or any comments, anything they want to add, anything they want to go over? Zona says, I hope that's the case, Kevin. Doggledoodle, we already have one end of the signal messages, so she's cooked either way. So we do have Turtle's end, and those signal messages still come through. You're welcome, Cindy. Doing the best I can. Obviously, it's not perfect coverage. I missed a little bit. We didn't miss anything, but I missed. We had it on, but there was part of I couldn't hear I got distracted by messages coming in, and I didn't hear the first 30 seconds of what the plaintiff's lawyers were saying the agreement was. All right. So I'm not seeing any questions or comments. So let's just call it a day, and I hope everybody has a good weekend. Again, if you're a Celtics fan, Jason Tatum is supposed to be back tonight against Dallas, his first game back. So worth watching. And we're in spring training, and the Patriots there will be some news coming in the next few weeks with them too. They're pursuing some top-notch wide receiver free agents. Okay, everybody, have a great weekend.